Welcome back. Of course, we are going to the second conversation right now, and this security situation is becoming alarming, is becoming worrisome. A lot of Nigerians are even getting confused. What is the Nigerian authorities doing? The federal government, the governors who are the number one chief securities of the state, the service chiefs, the IG, the head of vigilantes. What is the effort so far? First of all, we heard about the abduction of the schoolgirls in Kebbi. From Kebbi, it was a church that was invaded in Owo. Before we even finish talking about that, we heard of the situation in Niger State. And of course, 50 of those girls have actually escaped, but we still have about 300 and something still in captivity. Now, what is the way forward? Are we being proactive enough? The president have given so much, all right? He has at least given instructions that he's on top of his game. But today we will be talking about the high rate of abduction in Nigeria right now. What is responsible? How did we get here? Is it because of the statements by Donald Trump? Because some people said it is a trigger. It is a trigger for the recent rate of kidnapping and of course the abduction especially. Today we have a security expert, security professional, and also a public affairs analyst in the studio in the person of Comrade Salihu Mahmud. It's good to have you join us on the program today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramson. It's been quite a while, even though we speak on phone,
yes.
We interview on phone severally.
Yes.
Nice to be in your studio.
You know, when you're in the studio, yes. I know that we are going to have a whole lot of information and
so
of course,
an
in-depth analysis.
Thank you very much.
So now, before we finish talking about the abduction in Kebbi State, we're hearing of Niger State now, including Kwara.
Yes.
You know, and the way the situation is, imagine that of Niger State. Pupils were even abducted too with teachers. And some people have said, well, this situation is a trigger from the statement by the President of the United States of America saying Nigeria is a country of a particular concern. What do you think is responsible for this abduction? Are you of the same school of thought that is a trigger to the statement by Donald Trump?
Well, I don't think so. You know, the way we see things differs from the way people see it. 5 years ago, I can vividly recall in Human Rights Radio, a program called Politics and Governance, we did warn that if care is not taken, fleeing bandits from Northwest, fleeing bandits from insurgents from Northeast are going to regroup in North Central states of Niger, Kwara, Plateau, Niger, Benue, and others. And it happened. Ordinary Ahmed, with due respect to him, the anchor of Berekete, is a witness because he's the owner of that Human Rights Radio. 5 years ago, I can vividly recall, we did warn. The problem we have in this country is that some people in the political and security circle are feeding fat from this menace with no apologies to anyone. Some of these things are RNG. The higher echelons might not be aware, but there are some unscrupulous and undesirable elements that don't want the insecurity to end, where the huge budgetary allocation that is coming, they are feeding fat from it. And their primary concern is the houses they buy from the proceeds, the cars, how their children go abroad, and that. So I think Mr. President, as a Democrat, as a former governor for 8 years in Lagos, who improved Lagos security, need to also beam searchlight amongst some of the echelons of both the armed forces, police, DSS, and others, because as the good and patriotic ones are involved in strategizing to carry out efficient and effective onslaught against the non-state actors, there are also saboteurs. If not, how on earth could a Brigadier General and his team be ambushed without immediate rescue? How on earth Could other ambushes happen? Let me give you an example. Those of Niger around Agwara, those of Wasagu, Mashegu local government area of Kebbi State, where the school children were adopted, and Eruku in Kwara State, these are mainly ungoverned areas. We have over time called for siting of permanent security structures from police, security and civil defense, DSS, Army, Air Force, and others. If you go to most of these places in Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kwara, Niger, Benue, Kogi, Plateau, and all of it, nothing to run home about the presence of even some sophisticated police outposts. And when you're trying to talk about internal security, it's the purview of the police. Police is in charge of internal security. All these efforts you see Air Force and Army doing is complementing the efforts. Most of these officers and personnel, where are they? Even with the special protection unit in the police that wears blue beret, you still see police mobile force, counter-terrorism unit guarding and escorting people who are not bounded by constitution to have police escorts. Thank God Mr. President yesterday gave an order that such police officers and men should be withdrawn, that civil defense, we do not even support that of the civil defense in South Africa, for instance, there are private security companies that are licensed to bear arms. These are the type of people that the VIPs get to guard them. So some of the private security companies in Nigeria should be given arms to the license for arms, so that this sort of VIPs in oil industry, banking industry, business and what have you, can sort for the protection of these sophisticated private security officers, not Nigerian security and civil defense.
Comrade,
yes.
Why is it even necessary for you to get a personal protection if you know you don't have anything to hide, if the people love you? Because we've heard of countries where even the president go without escort. We've had where governors, countries in this world where governors go without escort. Is it even necessary for people who work in oil companies, who are VIPs in quotes, to use personal security? Or is it even necessary?
Well, you see, since the assassination of head of state Murtala Rahmat Muhammad in 1976, many highly placed public office holders started becoming afraid. That was where the mentality of convoys and Itato, late Murtala Rahmat Muhammad, whom himself fought civil war, held certain juicy positions, moved with only that Mercedes-Benz that the team of Dim Kasuka shot and most of others. But aftermath of that, this mentality of protection began. But it became worse under democratic experiment from 1999, because Itato, I can tell you, even under military administrations I knew, that of Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, General Sani Abacha, and host of others, it was 505, 504 and what have you, then Pajero, then some Land Cruiser, old model and what have you. Then even for a minister, you see that is not more than 2 or 3 vehicles, because I can vividly recall there was a Minister of Industry during Babangida administration, General A.B. Mamman. Then there was ministers like Gadonasco, Minister of FCT. Are you with me? There were ministers like late Major General Mamman Kontagora. If you see their convoys, you will laugh. The highest car they were driving was 504. Are you with me? Coming to even Abacha administration, it was 504, 505. Then you can count the numbers. Maybe the vehicle in front, backup, or maybe the pilot car and the main vehicle. But from 1999, that's where this mentality of buying maybe like 4 jeeps for a minister, 20 vehicles for a governor, then 150 vehicles for Mr. President began. So the mentality escalated that time. And that singular cost of governance is affecting security circle, because some of the monies you are supposed to appropriate for security, you are now using it for some political office holders, where you even see managing directors, executive secretaries of parastatals carrying escorts. I've seen, I don't want to mention the parastatals, I've seen managing directors of government parastatals and director generals and executive secretaries going with 4 vehicles with the routine of mobile police and others, which ought not to be. So the issues are, because they know that they are not also doing the right thing. Even though sometimes in the Nigerian political scene you cannot predict. That is even for people in government. What about the people that are private businessmen? There is a particular businessman who moves with more than 20 policemen. He lives in Maitama. I don't want to mention the name. There are other ones that run clubs. They move with, I don't want to mention that they are young guys. You should be knowing who I'm talking about. Nightclubs is what they run. But what do they move with? Musicians in Lagos even move with soldiers. Go to for weekends when eyebrow Fuji musicians are moving, or juju musicians or others. You see even soldiers where they are playing. What is the link between army and where a Fuji musician or juju musician or hip-hop musician is playing? Most of these billionaire hip-hop musicians, Afro hip-hop, they move with routine of police officers. Why? This is misplaced priority. So the police officers you are supposed to post to remotest part of the country are now the ones protecting billionaire musicians, technocrats, private sector players, ES, MDs, DGs, this and that, and host of others. There are public officers constitutionally that are supposed to carry. Let me give you an example now. Itato in FCT, when you are a minister, your orderly is supposed to be a sergeant or inspector. But from one particular minister, we started seeing ASP, unconfirmed 1-star, following minister of FCT, from there to 2-star. Today is 3-star. One day, if care is not taken, it's going to be eagle. What is an eagle officer of the police doing with a minister? You are supposed to have an inspector as the orderly, because ministers are not supposed to have ADC, but orderlies and chief details. One, maybe 2 from DSS, maybe 1 orderly, then maybe some 3 or 4 escorts. But today, there are super ministers that moves with more than 15 vehicles.
All right, comrade. Can we now say that the absence of, because of course, in the National Daily this morning, we heard that about 100,000 policemen were being withdrawn from VIPs by the president, and this is not the first time you are hammering on the issue of the policemen are not placed at where they are supposed to be placed by following big men. This is not the first time you're talking about it. I've heard you talk about it severally, even on my program. So now, can we now say that, because this is the reason I'm saying this, these people adopting these children, like that of KB, they said there was even a prior information. All right, they were intelligent information.
The governor said that.
Yes. Then, few hours after they left, these people struck and they used bike. The same thing in Niger. You know, these people go on bike. How on earth would you be able to abduct 200 people on a bike without the absence of security operatives, even policemen who are checkpoints along the road?
It is very possible, because these non-state actors, particularly bandits and insurgents, they move in mass. Let me give you an example. There was a movement from Sokoto to Zamfara. Operation Fansanyama got credible intelligence through the air raid. They carried out air onslaught. They dislodged and killed up to 300. They were 2-2 on the bike. That is how they move. Even the day they were moving from Ibe to Auna and others, we got credible intelligence as civilians. We transmitted it to our people. They discharged their ownership involvement. In fact, there is a very, very hard-working Chief of Defense Plans and Policy, AVM Olatunde, is another very nice man. I don't know whether he's still there. He used to be there when CG Musa was Chief of Defense Staff. That particular Air Vice Marshal as Chief of Defense Plans and Policy is a very good man. For every intelligence information we transmit, Oga normally let action be taken. They were able to take some actions and dislodge. Let me tell you one thing. Some of these postings you see police going to, some of the police officers also like it, because some of the crop of police officers they also recruit and also patriotic. Some of them go there to make money. I've seen where police officers will tell you, please, I want to be posted to joint task force in Niger Delta, anti-bunkering. Are you getting my point? Where there is money, which ought not to be. So the issues I'm saying, the mentality also has to change. But for this easy action of abduction, it goes down to issue of ungoverned areas, because these bandits also move. They know the areas. For example, from Swashi in Niger, Agwara, Babana, Luma, and others. If you are moving there, you can't find 50 police officers. So if 100 bandits are coming, how can you confront them? Bandits that have RPG, anti-aircraft missiles, then you as a conventional police there, because hardly you find counter-terrorism officers there, or it's conventional, this black with your AK-47, how can you confront them? Then you don't even have a serviceable operational vehicle or gun truck. Even though Operation Fasanyama is been there in Rijau, Kontangora, and others. Of recent, between Mokwa to Kanji, around Ibi, they kidnap people. Around Shia, Borea, just day before yesterday, they kidnapped some people. That is Barutel local government area of Kwara. So because the places are ungoverned area, no presence of sophisticated police structure, army, air force, and what have you, they know. So they struck there. They hardly go to where it's fortified. So that is why, beyond just withdrawing the police officers, Mr. President must adequately fund the police. Even the police trust fund, they are not living up to expectation. Police don't have barracks in Abuja, in Lagos. So is it the police you want to get motivation from? With their elderly ones retiring, seeing how they go into penury, no motivation. That is why they just stood for posting to juicy areas, because if the one that trained you has retired and the benefits have not been gotten because of one pension administration that is mad with corruption, motivation is not there. So I can even tell you, members of the armed forces are better taken care of, because when EFCC that was created yesterday, an unconfirmed officer of the police who converted, you know, some of the police officers below the rank of superintendent converted. When he died, the first benefit the wife got from EFCC was 25 million. How much does police pay to their officer? That's anti-graft agency, EFCC. So you now tell me people will not prefer to go to EFCC and work than police. So welfare, then dealt benefits and what have you, are nothing to write home about in the police. So Mr. President, beyond just withdrawing these police officers, you need to also build permanent police structure, because they are custodians of internal security.
All right, that's where I'm coming from. If their welfare is not guaranteed, let's go to intelligence gathering now. We've had situations. You talked about Umba, the general that was killed, and how Ubali, how army officers were also being attacked when they are going to confront this bandit because of the leakage of intelligent informations. Now, can we say welfareism, okay, let's say for police, because sometimes you have joint task force where you have the police, you have other security operatives come together. This leakage, can we say some of these attacks on our military is as a result of the leakage of intelligence informations coming from some quarters, maybe among the security operatives to the bandits?
You see, within the circle of the armed forces, police and others, there are internal conspirators. Severally, they've arrested military personnel, police officers for conspiracy. You get my point. So that is there, basically. Then there are also political conspirators too. People who have political power. For example, Zamfara and Kazana, illegal gold mines is involved. We've said it severally. Some senators, former governors, retired generals, creme de la creme are involved in the illegal gold mines in Zamfara and Katsina. Has anybody bothered? When Mutao Lewi is now Minister of State for Defense, was governor, he constituted a committee, investigative committee, headed by former IGMD Abubakar. After Muhammad Diko Abubakar submitted his report to Mutao, he never implemented it because some emirs were involved and some higher echelons in Zamfara State. So the issues are this drilling and milking of our resources is also making it not to be over in some northwestern state. That of Borno, natural resources is not involved, but Katsina and Zamfara is involved. And why you see Kebbi, Sokoto, Niger, and Kwara at the receiving end. I can tell you there is a place called Gandu under Kayama local government area of Kwara State. This Mahmuda terrorist, Itato, used to be involved in illegal gold mines. In many parts of Niger, illegal gold mining is taking place too. Sokoto and Kebbi too. So in those northwestern states, illegal gold mines are the issue. And for example, if as a private in army, constable in the police, or other ranks in DSS and others, you are in operation, maybe you are not getting it well, and you are to arrest a bandit, and you are not that patriotic and God-fearing, you don't have conscience, and they offer you 20 million, what do you expect? You give in. So monetary enticement also makes the conspiracy to be at high level among. That is why when the team are to move, they will give information. There will be, because no ambush of either the army, police is without internal conspiracy. Because how did the non-state actor know that the convoy of that brigadier general is moving? And this is not the first time. From Abuja to Benue, a military contingent was going. They were ambushed because of 21 million internal conspiracy. So the military and the police, DSS and others also need to scrutinize. Itato, if you are to recruit anyone, you go from ward head to head of the security agencies in that remote town where the person hails from, without the consent of the person. You carry out what they call profiling, you vet it. Even though I know DSS and others do it, I don't know whether police still do it. What is the person's character? What has been the affiliation or acquaintances of that person for some time? What are you getting my point? For you to be able to recruit a patriotic, honest, and trustful person. But these days, godfatherism, Senator will give note, House of Reps, a retired armed robber, somebody who has been having criminal, just because it's a political talk, you give note, you get enlisted in the police, you get enlisted in the army and also of others. It doesn't work that way. So we need to come back to the drawing board. Then police intelligence is not working effectively. They need to also restructure. One, you have a very gallant Deputy Inspector General of Police in 4th CID. I will give it to him. DIG Sadiq is a wonderful man, no nonsense man. People like that should be given much money so that most of his well-trained officers in force intelligence in area 10 there can be posted to remote areas. Most of the officers you find there, maybe from state CID, from branch SIB, which ought not to be. Force CID is there. Since they are the lead in internal security, their intelligence will be in the lead, but DSS seems to be ahead of police in terms of who arrested the Mahmuda terrorist leader in Wawa, Niger State. It was DSS. Isn't that shameful to the police when the police have outposts, division headquarters, even though they are not enough and what have you? So the issues are, Mr. President did it well by also approving 30,000 recruitment. But Mr. President should also make ICPC, EFCC, DFI, and 4th CID should also be involved in knowing that it is innocent and qualified, able-bodied Nigerians are recruited. It shouldn't be issue of Godfather giveness and whatever. That is what kills the system, where you see police service commission will start fighting with the force headquarters and all stuff like that, which ought not to be. So in totality, Mr. President need to overhaul the entire security structure for efficiency, because their presence is not being felt in remotest part. That is why you have periodical abductions. 2 years ago in Kayama, local government area of Kwara State, I went for prize giving day and graduation ceremony of unique schools in Kayama there. I called for school protection. I said, even if the police and army is not going to do it, the Nigerian security and civil defense, they have armed squad, agro rangers and others should be made to do that. So it shouldn't be, since police are going to withdraw their officers protecting VIPs, civil defense should take charge. No, it's also constitutionally wrong. Nigerian security and civil defense are also a player in internal security. They should be made to take charge of their constitutional roles, protection of critical infrastructures, other services as assigned. But to now go and take place of protecting VIP is also abuse of constitutional provisions.
All right. You talked about ungoverned territories, which is part of the reason this abduction is happening. And of course, you actually linked it to the absence of security operatives and them not being enough and welfareism. What is the place of the governors? Are they doing enough? The governors of these states where this abduction happens. We can't talk about the security of a state without mentioning the governor, which is the number one chief security of that state. What's your assessment of the governors? Remember, you talked about security votes. So there is this speculation, all right, in the media space, on social media. People can even talk to you. Those of us in the media space, people talk to us all the time. You know the way they talk to you too, that some persons even want to instigate this security situations so they can get more funding, which is indirectly going to go into their pockets. Let's do an assessment of state governors. Remember, FAC is going to them now. They are receiving more than they were receiving before. But then security situations still gets deteriorating. Everyone looks at the president and all of that. What happens to that of the number one chief securities of the state? Are they doing enough? Because you talked about mining, which happened in state. You can't tell me a mining activity is going on in a state and the governor is not aware.
You see, with due respect to our governors, they have limitation when it comes to national security. The Constitution gives them certain role, third, first role, just like the way we have 3 tiers of government: federal, camp, state, and local government. So if you are now talking about local government, what contribution? So they are just chief security officers merely. They don't have control. They cannot even give order to commissioner of police, GOC, or brigade commander. All they do is collaborate and complement. But a serious governor can also make a state secured. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as governor of Lagos State, did that wonderful thing, where irrespective of the security agency, police, navy, air force, army, NDLA, FRSC, VIO, and others, he gave them complementary funding, bought gadgets for them, patrol vehicles, and host of you. Because when he when he took over, then Colonel Buba Marwa, as military administrator under Abdul Salam, handed over to him in 1999 after he was elected and sworn in. Then Operation Sweep of Colonel Marwa as military administrator metamorphosed into Rapid Response Squad. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then as Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu, transformed it from Operation Sweep to RRS. And from Oworoshoki, Okokomaiko, Igado, Isheri Olofi, Lekki Phase 1, Phase 2, Falomo Ikoyi, Oshodi, Ilukweju, Ikorodu, and a host of other things like Abule Eba, Surulere, CMS, Tinumbu, and a host of others, where they were having communication gadgets, they were having operational vehicles, whatever is happening, even if it is rescue, immediately they will do that, including areas like Aja, Ibejuleki, and a host of others. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then as governor, did it. He never waited for Obasanjo as president. So governors saying because of their limitation they can't do, they are being hypocritical. You can have good rapport with your commissioner of police, AIG of the zone, if you have a zone in your state. Let me give you an example of Kano. Why do you think non-state actors were unable to penetrate Kano? Because when Kwankwaso was governor, up to Ganduje as governor, they did what they ought to do with the commissioner of police, AIG Zone 1, the brigade commanders, Bukavu, Air Force Base Command, and host of others. They gave them all the support. Today, bandits cannot even get to Falgore Forest in Kano. From Madobi to Rano to Gaya to Dakatsale to Enkaba to other areas, even outskirts, Bichi. You cannot go and mess up. The boundary between Kazana to Kano, through Funtua, Janguza to Kabuga, you cannot mess up. The boundary between Jigawa, Dambata, other areas up to Kano, you cannot mess up. The boundary between Kano and Kazana through Bichi, you cannot mess up. The boundary between Kaduna State, Makarfi, Giwa, Zaria, others to Kano, you cannot mess up, because the governor of Kano, from Kwankwaso to Ganduje, to Abba, Yusuf. They are doing a lot. So governors of Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, Niger, Kwara, Plateau, Benue, you mustn't wait saying that I have limitation on federal security. Have good rapport, speak good English to your commissioner of police. Don't say I'm a governor, elected governor. You see, pride and arrogance kill sometimes. This officer was trained not by you. He's posted there by federal government. Just do a good rapport. I know governors that the moment commissioner of police is arriving, GOC is arriving, flag officer commanding for riverine areas is arriving, air officer commanding is arriving, NDLA commandant is arriving, controllers of immigration is arriving, customs, and also other sector commander of road safety is arriving, DSS director is arriving. When they welcome them to government house, the first thing they ask, what are your operational challenges? They give monies out of the security board and others. Are these governors doing that in where we have insurgency, even though I know Zulum has been doing enough? I know Lawan Dere in Zamfara said he has also been doing enough. What about other governors? So like Kwara State Governor, with due respect to Abdurrahman Abdurazak, advent of Mahmuda terrorist invasion of Kayama, Baruten local government areas of Kwara State, when it went viral, he left what he was doing. He paid visit to Emir of Kayama's palace in Kayama, Kwara State, alongside GOC 2nd Division, where they promised. And the now incumbent Chief of Defense Staff, then as Chief of Army Staff, went to Ilori. He gave standing order to the Army Response Squad that is giving them 1 month ultimatum. In conjunction with the police, who had earlier said there was nothing like Mahmuda terrorist presence in Kayama, local government, and Baruten, they carried out onslaughts around Kayama, Kemanji, Karozi, Bane, Basoro, Gure, Chikanda, Nyani, Taberu, Gwanara, Kenu, Okuta, Shia, Boria, including where? Including Woro, Nanu, Nuku, Aboki, Bani Adena, under Barute and Kayama local government areas respectively. Today, it is kidnap related activities you are having, but those notorious armed bandits have reduced. But the only people that are tormenting Kayama and part of Niger also now Lakurawa, who are known to be aliens. They are foreigners. When Lakurawa is moving from Kebbi through Augi, Mera, Argungu, proximity to areas like Wara, Yauri, Kontangora, Rijau in Niger State and Kebbi, the porous areas they come to is Babana in Niger, Agwara, Swashi in Niger, Wawa in Niger, some wildlife forests in Ibi, Mokwa, Sabo Fegi. They moved to Woro, then places like Vera, then they now moved to Baruten areas like Kosoboso and host of others. Lakurawa, of recent when they were moving, were alerted inhabitants. So what they also needed to do, even though DSS is doing its best and some intelligence arms, they also need to post their best crops of intelligence, because you need more of undercover than combat operation. Because sometimes as you are moving your convoy, they've gotten information from unscrupulous element, then they ambush you. But when you disguise, I don't need to tell DSS, NIA, Force CID, DFI, and others what they need to do. All these arms of the military, they have their intelligence arm. Air Force have air intelligence. Naval intelligence is there. DMI, that's the Army. The Directorate of Military is there. DSI and also others. You need to disguise. Then also extend some ownership involvement, what have you, to the communities at the receiving end. You can even pay them some peanuts. They will give you certain privileged information, like that of Kayama and Baruten. Some of the community inhabitants helped at that time because they gave intelligence information which was given to some of the security agencies. And the terrain, terrain is always the problem, because you are bringing a security agent who doesn't know the terrain of Agwara in Niger State, terrain of Ibi in Niger State, terrain of Augi in Kebbi State, terrain of Goronyo in Sokoto State, terrain of Kontangora in Niger State, terrain of Eruku in Kwara State. How will he know how to? But when you have ownership involvement, collaboration with the communities, they will do. So the issues now are beyond just having the firepower. They are also facing shortage of manpower. All the security agencies, Chief of Army Staff came to say of recent, people are now running away from enlisting into the Nigerian army because they know what is happening. So when certain encouragements are there, it will not be that way. So the issues are, we need to do it how we ought to do it. There was a Northwest Security Summit held in Katsina, supported by United Nations Development Program, where all the Northwest governors came, some represented by their deputy governors. It was supposed to be kinetic and non-kinetic, but much of non-kinetic was not attached to it. What happened to bringing women who are mothers? Because some of these bandits are also children of certain women. When you bring them from the non-kinetic angle, you collaborate some civil society organizations, women-based organizations from the north. Let them bring some of these women from rural areas. This is the danger of not knowing what your children are doing, of joining banditry is inimical to you. You cannot. They will enlighten them. Some of these bandits still have their mothers in some of these communities in Shinkapi, in Maru, in Talata Mahara, and host of others.
So, as it is right now, comrade, you've spoken extensively. Can we now say that we have people in Nigeria or outside Nigeria who are sponsoring these terrorists?
We have international collaborators. Severally in Northeast, they found some expatriates supporting them.
Is the federal government aware of this?
Intelligence apparatus are aware. Except if they want to, you know, this all correct, yes sir. Psychophancy is also killing us because the IHL, even though I don't want to mention position, they don't want to lose that position. So there are certain privileged intelligence information they wouldn't like to give, which is wrong. But I want to appraise President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's acting like a commander-in-chief. It differs from the previous administration, even though late Muhammad Buhari, may so rest in peace, also tried because he opened the pace for providing the army and air force with sophisticated weapons and whatever. Don't forget, it was during late Muhammad Buhari administration that Tucanos were brought, Alpha jets and also others. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also sustaining it. The issues are the difference between Bola Ahmed Tinubu and President Muhammad Buhari of blessed memory is that e-listings. Let me tell you, even this program you are doing, there are people that are telling President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They tell him, he has communicators in communication office. So that is how to be president and commander-in-chief. Because when analyses are made on TV stations, pages of paper, radio, and whatever, and president works, it helps. Governance is all inclusiveness. Global TV's contribution can be taken. Foreign Water TV's contribution can be taken. Liberty TV's contribution, Trust TV's contribution can be taken. Arise TV's contribution, that of Channel can be taken. Eagle Radio contribution can be taken. Business and Politics Television contribution can be taken. Vision FM contribution can be taken, including the smaller ones. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have not met him since he became president and commander-in-chief, because I'm not those type of people. But I want to tell you, with the withdrawal of these police officers from VIP, I give him 21 Armed Forces gun salute. He has proven that he's a commander-in-chief, and governors should borrow suit from the president. You are CSO. Give the adequate and necessary support. The funding to security agencies is not enough. So the governors can build barracks, give them, even though some of them have been giving them vehicles and what have you, instead of talking about state police. Because the funds you need to execute state police, you can give half of it to the existing police. They will do the best. You can see if the governor now start going to part of Zamfara Katsina, you start building edifices, equipping it with gadgets and operational vehicles, the police will do their job.
All right, comrade, we are trying to round up now. If, like you have already said, that we have people in this country who are sponsoring terrorism, then what will you make of Donald Trump's statement saying he is coming to attack people who are terrorizing the country, terrorists, to pick them out?
You see, President of the United States shot himself in the leg when he mentioned because of Christian genocide in Nigeria. That was insensitivity. If he had said United States as Nigeria's good partner, he wants to come and assist, complement it, because no country under United Nations Charter has the right to come to another independent sovereign nation to carry out any onslaught. They have been doing it to some banana countries, but Nigeria is giant in the sun. It is not possible with the porous nature of security in some areas. If you go there, you'll be disgraced. In Borno, for instance, we have 7 division, Tier Command, Joint Task Force. It's not easy. When you are coming, the radar is watching you. Are you getting my point? Same thing if you go to Enugu 82 division and what have you. So the issue I'm saying, he need to retrace and retract his statement by saying he wants to come and assist Nigeria fight insurgency and insecurity, not because of Christian genocide. Saudi Arabia is a Sunni country, Muslim-dominated country. Highest money U.S. gets comes from Saudi Arabia. Sorry, highest money U.S. Trump himself said it when he visited the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
So away from the Christian genocide thing,
yes.
There is genocide, but not just Christian, Muslim,
combined.
Everyone. All right, if the United States decide to come pick or maybe help Nigeria eradicate terrorism and probably handpick or sanction sponsors of terrorism, what would be your take outside whether it is Christian genocide or anything at all? But there is genocide.
If American government decides to send some of their Marines to collaborate with Nigerian army, then their FBI with the police to cope and reduce the menace, it will go a long way, but not infringing on our fundamental rights as independent nation. You see, we know what is international politics. Mineral resources are also a business. For example, we have Shell and Chevron in Nigeria. Since Dangote started refining oil, America, of course, will not be happy because those crude oil you take there to refine, after what they use in exploiting us, they also manufacture some insecticide and other things from it. It will no longer happen. So there are also certain things we see. You see a layman on the street can talk anyhow. But anybody that knows diplomacy, security, and whatever, you see, we have been in this business since General Sani Abacha administration. It's not today. So as a young man, I was 19 years, Ramsey, when I started following Abacha's people. I was with late Ambassador M.C. Abubakar, who was High Commissioner to Sierra Leone. He in turn introduced me to National Security Advisor Samaila Gorzo. I was galactrotting from West African country to the order. So the issues are from 19 years for a young man to know about security before he even got his university degree. You know, it's not easy. So most of these things we are doing, we started it, may the soul of General Sani Abacha rest in peace. That's why he said, if insecurity persists for more than 48 hours, it has government ends in it. General Sani Abacha was right. There are some
so invariable. Can we now say that the insecurity in Nigeria has exceeded?
There are political office holders who are also collaborators and conspirators. There are also some unscrupulous and undesirable IHLs of the armed forces, police and others, because they don't want it to end, because they are making billions to build houses in Guzape, Ikoyi, abroad, and also other things. Look, let's call a spade a spade. Death is one. As I'm 50 years old by the grace of God. Before Gawan became, he was less than 40 years before he became head of state. So at 50 now, golden age, I shouldn't be afraid. So legacy, and you know, exceeds materialism. If we don't put the record straight, you see this clip you are going to have on YouTube and on Google, it's going to stand the test of time. Where one day when I'm in the 6 feet, they will say, oh, there used to be a Comrade Salihu. That's the type of legacy I want to live. I don't want, when I pray to God every day, I don't pray to drive 20 million when some members of my family cannot afford 3 square meals. I'm not a dissident. I don't pray to have 100 million naira house when I cannot help somebody with 500,000. So we chose this path because we want the country to build. When Sir Ahmadu Bello died, Tafawa Balewa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Samuel Ladoke Akintola, Obafemi Awolowo, how many companies or estates did they leave? How many cars? Today, their names rings bell. So Nigerian youths, stand up for your right. Nigerians in general know that legacy exceeds materialism. This insecurity, we can call the bluff of everyone. Let's come together. No Christian, no Muslim. Let us unite and fight insecurity. It's not matter of religion. It's not matter of tribe. It's matter of national unity and peace. Itato, we used to live as Ramsey Salihu in one apartment. When it is Christmas, I will eat Christmas food. When it is Salah, you eat. Today, politicians have divided us. Late Lateef Jakande, executive governor of Lagos State, Second Republic, said, if you are a good leader, religion is not your priority. In Jakande's home today, some of his children, I don't want to mention their names, some are Christians, some are Muslims. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is president, his wife is what? Christian. So that was why when Donald Trump said Christian genocide, I say where? When First Lady of Federal Republic of Nigeria is a frontline clergy of Redeemed Christian Church of God, what are you talking about? When you have late former Director of Military Intelligence General Ibrahim Sabo of blessed memory, till he died, his wife was a Christian. Nenani Usman, you are hearing, former Minister of Finance, she's still a Christian. The husband, late Emir of Jere, is a Muslim and he died a Muslim. There are many records I'll bring to you. Go to Zuru, former Chief of Army Staff, Ishaya Abame, Lieutenant General, the senior brother who was chairman of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency under Abacha, Muslim. The junior brother, Senator Daladi Bamei, Christian.
Yeah, comrade, but that doesn't negate the fact that there have been killings, because there are proofs to all of this. There have been killings, both Muslim and Christians alike. That doesn't negate the fact that there have been killings. But maybe the statistics that got to Donald Trump had probably more Christians or whatever, but the situation is that there have been genocide. I think what we should concentrate on as Nigerians, like you have said, like you have spoken correctly, it is put religion aside and get rid of this menace so that we can have a better Nigeria, so that we can have a good legacy to leave behind. Don't you think that all we should do right now is to join our efforts together to get rid of this genocide, whether Christian or Muslim, because every Christian or Muslim's life matters, even pagans, even free thinkers. Don't you think so?
You see, Donald Trump was misinformed by the delegation to the Congress of those clergies. I will give you an example why it's not only Christians.
Oh, at time. All right, just try random in just a minute.
When some people were going for a wedding in Kwampam in Plateau State and they missed their road in Mangu, those guys that massacred them were Christians. Did these clergies take it to U.S. Congress? That is number one. Then, that General Kali in Plateau State that was coming from Portiscom or so, and he was killed by some Birom people, dumped in a well before the military intelligence got to know he's a Muslim. And what I'm trying to tell you, some of the arrested people that even masterminded killings in Plateau and Benue were even Christians. So that is why I don't want us to take issue of religion.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Trump was misinformed, and you know Trump is a controversial president.
I think, comrade, I think it's so good that the Congress is processing the whole statement. I think it's good. I think one thing that I like about the whole situation is that he didn't just speak and took action, but it was taken to the Congress.
If the Congress had invited people like me and you, let me tell you.
No, there are people speaking to the Congress already.
You see,
all right, comrade, our time is up.
Is not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The government officials are even, some people are claiming they are misrepresented.
It was private people that went to US.
All right. Thank you very much, comrade. It has been, I feel we should just continue. 2 hours not even here now. Thank you very much for joining us on Global Morning today. We're looking forward to when this security situation will become a thing of the past. All right, everyone, this is going to be the size of the first conversation this morning, but then national security is very important. But then the high rate of abductions in Nigeria is becoming worrisome. And of course, if you know anyone, or of course, that is in captivity, let's pray for them, and the authorities are on top of their games already. Like Comrade have said, we are waiting for when insecurity in Nigeria will become a thing of the past. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, Global Morning return for the second conversation. Stay with us.